Jack Quaid is taking the horror genre by storm as one of Ghostface's potential victims in the latest Scream sequel. The actor tells People what it was like working alongside veteran stars of the hit franchise.
It was, intimidating at first because I respect all of them so much, but they came to set and they're just so... All you have to do is watch them perform and you learn so much as an actor. They're all so honed in on their roles. And besides that, they're all the nicest people in the world. Like, I think that I've ever worked with, ever. They didn't need to welcome us the way that they did. I would have been fine with like a handshake and a slight nod from them, but David took us on hiking trips and taught us how to paint one day. He's like a certified Bob Ross painting instructor. So he like gathered all of us in like the common room of the hotel we were in and taught us how to paint. And, Courtney and Nev were inviting us out to dinner and, it was the coolest. They were the coolest. And I will forever be thankful to them to welcoming us to their franchise.
And the cast had one major thing in common. Jack says that during production, no one knew who would ultimately be revealed as the film's killer or victims.
I never knew at any given time because especially in the beginning, we figured it out eventually, but in the beginning we would, we all had different scripts. In some scripts, certain characters died, in others they didn't. In some scripts, somebody was the killer, in other scripts they weren't. So it was this interesting kind of further level of meta-ness that we were all experiencing where we're making a movie that's a whodunit and none of us know who the person is, especially in the beginning. So we're all getting to know each other, but we're also like, okay, you're a little suspicious. You're a little suspicious. We all had our theories.
You're all in danger.
Mom? Well?
It was great. I've never worked like that before, and I kind of loved it. It was such a good time.
According to Jack, it's a little ironic that he's starring in Scream these days, since he was terrified of the original films as a child.
When I was about 4 years old, the first one came out, and I remember that was the year during Halloween, I trick-or-treated for the first time. And like every other kid on this block was wearing a Ghostface costume, and it scared the hell out of me. Like I was such a scaredy cat from that moment on. I distinctly remember there was this Ghostface mask that somebody was wearing with, it was kind of a translucent mask where you could kind of like, it had a little pump that went through it that would feed like fake blood that ran down it. And it totally traumatized me. And so if I were to tell like that 4-year-old kid that one day he'd be in a Scream movie, it would be really surreal.
The son of movie stars Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid explains that he spent a lot of his childhood on film sets, but he was more focused on the free treats.
I would go on location with my parents a lot, but it was almost like, you go for like a few hours, like I think a kid can't really quite handle how slow a set moves, and I would go, I wasn't like taking any pointers or anything, but I would go and visit, I would watch a couple takes, I think it was cool. And then I mostly just went to the craft service truck and tried to steal all the candy I could. So that was basically my childhood if I would go to visit them, yeah.
And while he doesn't go to his parents for acting advice, Jack is grateful for their enduring support.
They don't really give you advice, it's interesting. Like they've been supportive, but I don't know, the way that this business works is so much different than the way it worked back then for them. So I kind of am experiencing some things like, working on a movie set during COVID, like for the first time. But no, I've never like asked them like, how should I perform this scene? I think it's just knowing that they have my back and they're supportive. I mean, it's lucky that I got to grow up saying, hey, I want to be an actor, and they understood that. I didn't grow up in a house that didn't quite understand what that meant, or a house that would tell me, oh, that probably isn't like the wisest choice, you should have a backup plan. Like I had the privilege and I was lucky to have people that understood what that meant and supported me going into it.
For more on Jack Quaid, pick up this week's issue of People on Newsstands Friday.